Hey everybody, welcome back to day 4 of my 7-day guide through Haven and Hearth, taking you from being a new character all the way to having a safe and a walled settlement. And guys, it's possibly the most exciting day. I know, there is something more exciting than punching bats. It's the day that we actually make the settlement. Now, it's not going to be completely safe right away, because the walls are going to take about a day to dry, a real-life day, that is. But we are in the dead of winter, and it's time to get started. I want to go over today why I picked the location I picked, as well as all the things that I do to set it up, basically. Alright, so right away, what did I do between episodes? We can see it over here on the left. I set up my notes so they're a little bit easier for you to see now. Between episodes, I picked the location for the settlement. I'll show you where that is. I set up a landscape flag to figure out the center of it. I've pre-chopped a bunch of trees, although I have a lot more to chop. I'll be showing you in a time lapse so you have an idea of how much labor this is. I made a lot of string, but it's kind of hard to get string during the winter, so I had to mostly get tough bark off trees and use water and turn it into bark cordage. It was a very quick way to get like 30 string, and I needed that for making a bunch of rope. We're going to need that for the wall later. I got wheel writing, which costs 1,500 LP, I believe it is. It's not a very hard skill to get. And I used that to make a water cart, and I made some more water barrels. They're all piled on our cart right here. Check it out. Carts are very easy to make. It is under your build and under vehicles and movables. You can see cart right here. It's 15 wooden boards, 5 wooden blocks. I don't believe quality of wood matters at all with this, because this is a building. Or a vehicle, I guess. But what it does is it lets you put up to 6 liftable objects onto the back of your cart by, you lift it like you would lift anything else with your lift command, and then you right-click it onto the cart. And then I can also just right-click anything here and grab it off, and hey, look, a table full of delicious food that I've prepared. We have a lot of labor to do today. More labor than we've done any other day by an enormous margin. And that means I need to make sure that I have a bunch of food ready to go. So I got that whole table of food. I've already done a bunch of chopping, and I needed to get my energy back, because when you hit the 2,000 mark, I believe it is, of energy, you can't dig and landscape anymore. Or at least I think you can dig and landscape, but you can't chop trees. It's one of the two. But you don't want to drop below that anyway, because you could start taking damage, and if you don't notice, you would actually die. Not all things prevent you from gassing out like that. I also went ahead and made 2 water skins that I'm wearing on my hips right here, you can see. Beautiful water skins. They're 2 hides each and 1 string each. You can see they're on the pouch slots here. You can also see them up here because we're on Ender Client. I have them both filled with water. It's just so that I'm carrying more water on me without having to cover another hand slot. When I'm doing the landscaping later, I'm going to be digging a lot. A shovel takes both hands. That means no bucket. So I still need to have some source of easy stamina, and that'll be my water flasks. What we have on this right now is 3 barrels of 100 liters of water each. Normally, you would need a bunch of water like this if you're going to do a bunch of labor like this. We actually have a well right near where we're going to be setting up, like a wellspring, which is a natural source of infinite water. So we don't need it, but I have it set up just in case, because it's what you'd typically do. I have a chair, I have a table, and I have, oh Lord, what was the last thing I picked? Probably a crate. Barrel. Oh, you know what? No, that makes sense. It's the table, the chair, and then the 3 barrels. Okay, no, that makes total sense. Okay. If we look at where we are on the map, you guys know that this is our spot here, and I was looking a lot around this area. Let's hide markers for a second so that it's easier to see our general area here, right? You can see some of these areas I only explored in winter, and that's why they're white like that. But you can see there's little bases all over the place. Abandoned base, abandoned base, abandoned base, a really old abandoned base, abandoned massive base, swamp. There's a little bit of room in here, and then we have the ocean down there, little base, really old abandoned little base. All kinds of little base, yeah. Some of them still have a personal claim that's around, but I've never seen any activity And outside of a small personal claim, everything is so incredibly dilapidated, even on the land surrounding the personal claim, that I don't think anyone is maintenancing here. I know I'm at the end of a world, of course. It's from the time I'm recording this right now, it's 2.5 weeks until the next world drops. So normally you wouldn't have this many ruins and you'd have a little more player activity. But because there's so many ruins, and I've literally not seen a single person since I started this tutorial series, I think it's safe to be right here. It's not the best spot in the world. Normally I wouldn't want to settle this close to anybody else, but again, no one really lives in any of these places anymore. I did stumble across, northwest of here, I stumbled across, probably around here-ish somewhere, there was a carved stone saying hi, and another carved stone saying, I'm sorry, but you've settled too close, move farther away and we can be friends. Now, obviously, this is some leftover conversation from long, long ago. I don't know the exact context, but the way it read to me is someone trying to greet the people who live here, and the people who live here saying, hey, we're cool with you, but you've settled too close, get farther away. So, although this place doesn't seem active anymore, it's almost completely abandoned as far as I can tell. I don't think anyone's maintaining it anymore. I did decide I'm going to keep about as much distance as everyone else kept from them, just in case. If anyone's going to want to come back and maintenance that place, it's probably these guys, and I don't really want to encroach on their territory, you know? If they're already saying that they'll be friends with people who don't settle too close, yeah, I won't settle too close. I understand that they need room to expand, or they thought that they did. So we're going to be settling here. Now, there are more problems with this location, but we'll go over that more as we get there. Now, I have a very long trek to get back there, dragging a cart. Whew, carts are slow. If I had it my way right now, I'd be dragging this thing over with a horse. And if I can find a horse, I'll definitely be taking it over there with a horse. But for now, I'm going to queue out this path. All right, I'm going to let you guys see a time lapse of this trip, because this trip, whoo boy, it's already a little slow on foot, but it is real slow by cart. I'm actually recording this voiceover as I do the trip, as you're just watching the time lapse. Lucky you don't need to put up with it right now. Hope I ended up finding a horse, but I guess you'll find out before I do. Things I like and things that I don't like about this location that I found. Obviously, I would like it to be somewhere more remote, less human activity, but then again, this is very late in the world. This is pretty typical that you find ruins everywhere. There are a lot of signs of old human activity. People have been here, but no one's been here in a long time, it seems, or at least I see very little evidence that anyone has been here in a pretty long time. So I consider that not too big of a problem. Now, if we were on a different continent that wasn't a spawn continent, then we very well could find a place with absolutely no human activity, where it seems that no one has been, or at least no one left a trace. But we're not on a world like that right now. That, and they've changed how spawn continents work over the years. It used to be that there was always one main continent, and then the other continents farther out, no one spawned on at all. But I do believe that was changed, probably more than once. So I don't want to go saying anything too definitive on that. That's likely to change world by world. I have to say, things have been made a lot harder by it being winter. It's a lot harder to find string in the winter, so take some advice from me. If you need to get a lot of string in the winter at this part of the game, and you don't want to wait the 5 real-life days that winter is, then what I would recommend is that you go into your icon list and you find every single tree that has tough bark. Not regular bark, but tough bark. Tough bark is very important for getting a whole lot of string in the winter, because you can use it to make bark cordage, which is just water and bark, or tough bark, that is. You can go ahead on the Ring of Brogdar website to figure out all the trees that have tough bark rather than regular bark, and just mark those off. You can also probably find some shallow water that still has reeds, and I recommend you do, if you do see it. But a lot of water does freeze over. Even swamps freeze over sometimes, as I just learned. The other day I was saying that they don't. Turns out that they actually do, and one of them did freeze over. But that's okay. I'm still able to find some bits of shallow water here and there, and that does the trick. Another great piece of advice for this part of the game is, I've already mentioned a few times before when it would be okay to teleport friends in. Hey, this is probably the best place to teleport them in. If you're trying to get your friends into the game, and you're trying to get things a little bit safer before you introduce it to them, this is a great time to bring them in, especially if you've already hyped it up to them and they're already quite into the game and they're very interested in it, because this is an easy place for them to learn during all this little labor of chopping the trees and digging and whatnot. You can teach them the stuff that you've learned, and the extra labor is going to get your wall up a lot faster and your claim up a lot faster, and the sooner you get it up, the less chance that someone's going to wander by and decide that they want to grief you. You're going to remember that when you build this wall, for the first little while, the claim isn't going to be safe, and the wall isn't going to be very safe either. People could try to break in and destroy it, but once it's dried, once it's been the 24 hours, then the wall needs to be destroyed with something like a wrecking ball, and that takes a very long time to set up, and is a huge deal to actually siege something. It's very, very unlikely that someone is going to siege your wall unless they really hate you. If they want to get in through your wall, they're going to hope that you're dumb enough to carry around your master key outside so that they can snatch that. Or maybe that you're dumb enough to go opening a door when they're near the door and they can rush in. Never make those mistakes. Oh, guys, we're here. You can see I've already done a little bit of chopping. I definitely can't wait to time-lapse all this chopping and building and whatnot to show you it at the end, so that you have an idea of just how much labor this takes. But really, it's not that horrible. I have fun with it, right? There's a wellspring down here, by the way. I want to show this to you. Okay, I just dropped off my cart. So here's our little zone. We have a wellspring right here. I think I showed you earlier in the playthrough what these look like. But we can use any of our water objects on it, or our vessels, rather, to fill up. And here's our spot. You can see I've already been doing a bunch of chopping. I'm going to put down the table and stuff soon. And there is a flag in the middle, which is our survey. Now, this is a 30 by 30, which is the largest you can drag the survey. Someone at the village was telling me earlier it's 31 by 31 is the max you can do according to the wiki, but like I can check it right now. It's 30 by 30 for me. I don't know if that's a custom client thing or what. Anyway, this is our land survey. They've changed how this works a little bit in, I want to say, an update less than a year ago. There are a few defaults here. So first of all, you go adventure, you go landscaping, and you go survey land. And you can drag a box over something that you want to level out the land on. And you get this little menu, and you've created this little flag. Ground level, just ground level. It puts everything to exactly where the ground is. Ground plane is taking everything to the neutral level of wherever you put your first flag, I think? Oh no, it wants me to dig here. The pink dots, God, you can barely see that, are where I'm going to be digging. The blue dots in the red area is where the soil is going to automatically go to help fill that out. So this is going to be basically leveling out the land the best possible. And that's what I plan to do. It means that we're going to have to raise some land and lower some land, but it's not as hard as it sounds. All we have to do is equip a shovel. We right-click on the land survey, and then we hit dig, and our guy will automatically start digging. We definitely want to do it while holding a shovel, because it is way faster. A wooden shovel does an okay job. It's all we're going to have right now, though. Later in the game, when you can get a metal shovel, it is a million times faster, but there's no way we're going to have that yet. So we still have more wood to chop, you can see. We also need to use the destroy command on these stumps to get rid of them. It's faster if you do it with a shovel, so that's what we're going to be doing with. Then we need to lift and move all the wood to get it in better spots. What this 30 by 30 is, by the way, is this is going to be the interior of our settlement, is going to be this entire 30 by 30, and then 31 by 31 is going to be the size with walls. So this is the whole interior bit. We're going to level this, and then we're going to level a row outside of it, all along the edges, which is where the walls are going to go. We're going to pave it. We're going to get the walls going. We're going to get the claim going. Now, Cellites, True Cellites, member of my village, who makes all the beautiful designs that our villages have, he makes very beautiful maps, and I'm not a very good builder. I'm going to try my absolute best pixel by pixel to get it just how he does it, but if it comes out looking a little ugly because I'm not great at it, it's okay, as long as it's practical. Now, normally, and by the way, if you want to raise the level or lower the level, you hold left click on this land and raise it up and down. There used to just be like a slider here for that. They got rid of it. It's one of those things where like the new system is better if you ask me, but it's too easy to accidentally mess with it. It's really easy to accidentally mess with it. But generally, it's probably better. Oh, and don't hit the remove button. That removes your whole land survey, which can cause you some big headaches if you gotta rebuild it. I'm also gonna need to chip a lot of this stone so that the boulders are small enough to move off the property so that I can level underneath of it, because you can't dig out underneath of the stone, you know? So really, there's a lot to do here, and a lot of it is gonna be time-lapsed for you. We're gonna need a lot of stone. We're gonna need, let's pop this back open. Here we go. We've already found our settlement location. We have already made a cart. We already have water barrels, and we have food here, both at the build site. They're just in the cart. If you're going to teleport friends in, now's a great time. I've already explained how to landscape where the walls are in the interior, but you're going to be seeing that. And then we just pave and place where the claim is going to be, and then we build the walls, because you want the claim before the walls. In fact, I believe you need to have the claim before the walls, if I'm not wrong. I think they actually made it in one of the patches so that walls can no longer be built off of a claim because they were used too much for griefing players in particularly not fun ways. After that, though, we just need our 5 rope, which is 50 string, 10 leather. I think I said before 20, but it is 10. I double-checked. I wrote 10 leather twice. Huh. And some bone glue. How did I do that? That's impressive. All right. It is 11 p.m. On my horrible sleep schedule I have been on to get these tutorials done, I will likely not be going to bed for another 7 hours. And I already got some labor done, but I didn't get as much done today as I wanted because the whole server crashed earlier. It was down for like an hour. So I have spent already a few hours working on Haven stuff today. I have 7 more hours to get as much of this done as I can. This is a lot of labor for one person, but this is completely doable. A lot of my villagers have offered to teleport in to help me with this labor, and I said, no. I gotta make sure that this is actually practical for one person to do, and I can't know that until I've done it. I'll let you know at the end how long it took. Hey, post-commentary MDB here. I finally got done all the labor for putting the settlement together, and it's 5.5 hours of footage of me just chopping trees, chipping stone, paving ground, and nearly messing up the layout a dozen times. I figured the best way to show you all of this is to just show you each step, talk a little bit about how it went, and then at the end of the video, I'll put a time-lapse of all the footage I've got. I didn't record every last bit of labor I put into this, but the vast majority of it is recorded. So the first step was just chopping all the trees in the zone. This didn't take super long, but obviously it was longer than if I was just on grassland. If anything, the real time-consuming part was digging up all the stumps, then moving the logs. I had to lift each log and then put them outside of the settlement zone so that I could terraform. Even with a cart, it took a little while. After I had everything totally cleared, I had to start landscaping, but for some reason the game kept telling me that it couldn't be leveled anymore, even though it very clearly could. After manually digging a few tiles and then noticing that the survey would only let me dig in those spots, I realized that the survey's tools weren't actually recognizing snow as diggable, even though it is. I ended up confirming this with some people in my village, and yeah, they had run into that problem before too. I was about to go through the effort of digging once on every single snow tile just to get the snow off, when Cellites, member of the village and the designer of the settlement idea itself, he came up with an idea of starting fires to melt the snow, and that probably saved me a lot of time and effort. It's not like we didn't already have tons of sticks after all. We're surrounded by logs that I can just chip some blocks off of and then split into sticks for a ton of quick, well, branches. I keep calling them sticks. Anyway, after the snow was completely melted, I could actually start landscaping. Thankfully, landscaping is very hands-off. I had to adjust the flag a couple times because I have a terrible time counting out what tile is what, even with the grid. It's not that the design is bad, it actually really rocks. I just really suck at this kind of stuff. Since you can only target a maximum of a 30 by 30 area when doing a survey, I do the entire village interior as its own survey. Then once that's done, I make new surveys on the wall bits by having the survey both include where the wall will be, as well as the new flat land of the settlement that I just terraformed, making it really easy to tell what height I need to drag the little dots to, you know, to get the walls to the same level as the rest of the settlement. Makes it really simple. The interior design took almost an hour to flatten. Then it took another 30 minutes to level it out with all the walls. It probably could have taken only an hour grand total if I didn't mess up a few times. Pro tip, if you have troubles counting out the squares to make sure that your base design is exactly how you want it, use the survey tool. While you're actually dragging the box for the survey, it'll display how many tiles in each direction that you're dragging, so that's a very easy way to count the tiles. Just drag a box to count and then cancel the action and do whatever you actually needed to do. Alright, next what I did was I counted out the tiles to figure out where the center was, and that's where Cellites designed the personal claim to be. I found that tile, I paved it with a little bit of local stone via the stoneworking skill and the lay stone action, which is under terraforming. Then I built a claim on it shortly after so that I could start the drying early. Even if the claim isn't dry yet, we're allowed to build walls on its zone, so waiting for it to dry doesn't need to slow us down. You'll notice that I was also chipping a ton of stone and laying it. Although in some of the footage, and probably the time-lapse later, you'll notice that I have to redo it a few times. You can unpave ground by picking the Stop Dirt option in the landscaping menu. Basically, all that happened was I lost track of where north was. I realized that my base was facing the wrong direction, and even if it didn't really matter, it doesn't matter what side the base is facing, I wanted to fix it because I thought it would look nicer. The next entire 2 hours was literally just me chipping stone and paving the base to match the design. I went with dye base for the darker stone borders, and I went with quartz for that nice white walkway. Partly because they're some of my favorite stones in the game in terms of aesthetics, and partly because it was just what was in the area. Just like before, this would have been a lot faster, but I was messing up and having to fix it from time to time. Amazingly enough, I took so incredibly long to get all this done that the snow came back. No, that wasn't a cut. It actually looks like that when the snow comes back. It's not snowing at all. The snow is all just melted in the settlement, then over the course of less than 1 second, the entire base is filled with a thick sheet of snow, right when I was maybe 15 tiles away from finishing the paving, so I had to light a few more fires just to finish the job. Oh, by the way, this is a forest, so those dark patches of forest grass that grow into our construction site actually block me from paving tiles like you can on dirt. I had to equip my shovel and use the hand plow landscaping action to prep those for paving. After hours and hours of work, it's time for the most important part, and it's actually the easiest part, the wall itself. First, I had to put new fires around the edges to make sure that the snow was melted, since you can't build a palisade on snow. Then I started the palisade corner post in one corner. These work exactly the same as fence posts. You just right-click on a corner, tell it to extend, you drag out a length of wall, and you build it out of wooden blocks. We had way more than enough wood to build the entire wall without chopping any extra, thanks to us having to clear cut a small little chunk of forest to build in the first place. Realistically, this wall probably only took like 10 to 15 tree trunks, but that entirely depends on what kind of trees are nearby. Different kinds of tree trunks have a different amount of wood in them. Anyway, there's nothing really complicated about building the wall. 3 sides of the settlement are just flat walls, and the north side has 2 gates. For a gate, you just extend the wall to 2 tiles before you want the gate to start. Next time you right-click the wall to extend it, you pick to make a new corner post. Since it's extending from your already existing wall, you won't need new bone glue, leather, and rope. It's just more wood. Once the corner post is done, you pick to prepare for a gate, and you pick if you want the gate to be 2 or 3 tiles wide. I prefer 3. Once it's done, you can click on either of the posts and make the gate. Now, you want to make sure that your gate opens outwards. In the little preview, you see what side the door opens out to. If you find it hard to remember which way the door is supposed to open, think about it this way. If someone was going to kick in your door, you'd want it so that the door swings outside when it's opened. Because if the hinge on the door was meant to open inward, it doesn't have any resistance on the hinge not moving that way to try and stop it. Anyway, gates care about what side you're on once you've locked them and are trying to open them, so make sure you don't mess this up. It could be a pretty big deal if you do. The gate door should swing open to the outside of the settlement, not towards the inside. Also, people in the past always used to seal the corner posts after building a wall to keep griefers from extending your wall in weird ways to trap you in, but now that palisades have to be in a claim, it's not really an issue anymore. At least at the time of this video, people often leave their corner posts unsealed, and it's perfectly safe. Just as long as you keep up with your personal claim, you're good. You never know though. It never hurts you to double check any of this stuff. You gotta remember, I'm recording all this stuff on World 16. World 16.1 might be a little different. Hey, maybe you're watching this 8 years in the future, just like a lot of people have been watching my 8-year-old videos before I made these ones. And, you know, things change. Be careful. Double check things that I say. And here we have it. The settlement is up. Now, mind you, the claim isn't dry yet, and neither are the walls. Walls are still a bit soft until they've been up for 24 real-life hours, so a player with good strength might be able to hand bash the wall if they really wanted to, and they don't mind leaving some evidence of a crime. You'll be reasonably safe from random low-level strangers, though. Once the wall is fully dry, though, they won't be able to break in without siege equipment, and that is so far beyond anything you need to worry about as a hermit. If someone's bringing siege equipment to take out a hermit, then there's gotta be a personal vendetta involved. Now, I have to move a ton of stuff from the cave to the settlement, and it's gonna take me a while. I figure there's no way you're gonna learn anything watching me spend hours carrying stuff from the cave to the settlement, so I'll just do that between episodes. All in all, I worked on this settlement all day with a few short breaks, so it was about 12 to 13 hours of work between planning, traveling, messing up, and fixing stuff, and of course all the labor to get the land cleared, wood cut, stone shipped, land paved, and walls built. It took about 2 tables of roasted meat and leaf wraps to keep my energy good, and probably about 100 liters of water. If you guys want to do the same design that Cellites came up with, then I've got it on screen for you right now. Hey, if you guys want to, then maybe I'll put it online somewhere for you guys to snag if you want to have your settlement look just like this. I don't know, description, pinned comment, I'll figure something out. It would be pretty cool to see Cellites' designs start to spread out into Haven. I know for sure that if I stumbled across a base in the wilds and is one of Cellites' designs, I would for sure stop by and say hi. Alright, now the next day of the guide is probably gonna have to wait for winter to end, but winter is only 5 real-life days in this game, so it's not gonna take that long. I want to start on some basic farming, but obviously it needs to not be freezing for that to happen, so although you'll probably be resuming the guide steps tomorrow, I need a couple days. If you're watching this though, then I'm sure it's up already in the playlist. I gotta go get this edit done and then prep for the next video. I hope you guys enjoy the time lapse of a bunch of the labor that went into the settlement, and until next time, have a nice day.